All right, welcome back to the deep dive. Ready for another deep dive?
Always.
This time, we're going to take a close look at PB Fintech Ltd, the
Okay.
company behind Policy Bazaar and Paisa Bazaar.
Right.
They just dropped their Q3 2024 financials, and we've got all the goodies. Their press release, the detailed financials, and even their investor presentation.
Wow, the whole shebang.
We're going to break it all down and see what's really going on with this major player in India's financial scene.
It's interesting to see how they're tapping into India's changing relationship with, financial products.
Yeah.
There's a growing awareness, especially outside the big cities, that insurance and credit aren't just for the wealthy anymore.
Right.
PB Fintech seems to be right there, ready to capitalize on that shift.
So, big picture first, their overall growth is pretty amazing.
Yeah.
I'm talking a 57% year-over-year jump in insurance premiums,
Wow.
hitting a massive 5,450 CR.
That's huge.
I mean, to put that in perspective, that's like insuring, I don't know, practically every rickshaw in Mumbai.
Uh-huh. Right. That's definitely an attention-grabbing number.
Yeah.
But what's really interesting is the surge in health and life insurance. A whole 69% growth there.
Yeah.
It's more than just, wanting peace of mind. It shows a growing middle class worried about healthcare costs and their financial future.
Yeah, and remember all that talk about whether PB Fintech could ever actually turn a profit?
Oh, yeah?
Well, this report pretty much silences the doubters.
Okay.
They swung to a profit of 51 CR this quarter.
Nice.
A huge difference from the 21 CR loss they reported this time last year.
So for anyone who doesn't know, swinging to a profit just means they went from losing money to making money.
Right.
And in this case, it's a big deal.
It really validates their strategy of using technology to streamline the whole insurance buying process, which used to be so complicated.
Yeah, definitely.
But it's not all sunshine and roses, right?
Yeah.
Their credit business tells a different story.
Yeah, sure.
Their credit dispersal stayed flat year over year.
That raises some questions.
For sure.
Well, that slowdown is mainly an unsecured credit, the kind that isn't backed by assets.
Right.
That's usually the first thing to shrink when the economy gets shaky.
So lenders and borrowers are both getting a little cautious.
It seems that way, yeah.
So what's PB Fintech doing about it?
Well, they're shifting gears a bit,
Okay.
focusing more on secured credit products like home loans.
Makes sense.
Those are generally considered less risky, so they're less affected by economic ups and downs.
Smart move.
Yeah, adapting to the market.
Now, let's talk tech, because that's clearly in PB Fintech's DNA.
It is, yeah.
Their report is full of examples of how they're using AI for everything, from assessing risk all the way to helping their own employees work better.
Yeah, it's not just about crunching numbers behind the scenes, though.
Right.
What's really cool is how they're using AI to personalize the customer experience.
Oh, interesting.
They're even analyzing how customers' voices sound to, figure out their mood and tailor their responses. It's like having a virtual assistant that can read your emotions.
It's wild. And then they're using video uploads for car insurance claims.
Oh, yeah.
It's like posting a video on social media, but for insurance.
It's crazy how much they're pushing the limits of what's possible with technology.
But they're not just focused on the tech-savvy folks in the big cities, right?
Oh, no, definitely not.
They're making a big effort to expand beyond those Tier 1 cities, recognizing the potential in those often overlooked Tier 2 and 3 cities.
Right, think about it.
Yeah.
As those smaller cities grow and people's incomes rise, the demand for financial products is going to explode.
Oh, for sure.
PB Fintech is getting in on the ground floor.
Smart.
It's a long-term strategy that could really pay off big time.
And it's not just setting up shop in those cities, right?
Right.
They're also empowering local agents with technology through their PB Partners program.
It's a clever mix of the human touch with the efficiency of their digital platform.
Yeah, a good balance.
It's like they understand that in a country as diverse as India, you need both high-tech and high-touch approaches.
Right.
Building trust is crucial, and sometimes that means having a face-to-face conversation with someone you know and respect.
Yeah, definitely.
This hybrid model could be their secret weapon as they, reach deeper into India's heartland.
Okay, so let's zoom out a bit and look at their global ambitions.
Okay.
Their move into the UAE is showing some serious promise.
Yeah?
Insurance premiums have grown ninefold since they entered that market back in 2019.
Wow, that's a huge jump.
What's interesting is how they've adapted their approach for the UAE.
Oh, how so?
They're tailoring products to fit the needs of the large NRI population there.
Okay.
offering things like cross-border coverage and even free yearly health checkups.
That's smart.
They're not just copying and pasting their India model, they're thinking strategically about how to adapt to each new market.
Makes sense.
Now let's get back to their financials and dive a little deeper into their revenue and how profitable they are.
Sounds good.
Their investor presentation really emphasizes their core online business,
Okay.
mainly their insurance marketplace.
Right.
They've seen consistent revenue growth in this segment,
Mm-hmm.
and their contribution margins are looking pretty strong,
Which means,
which means they're making a good profit on each sale.
okay, so their core business is doing well.
Yeah, it seems to be humming along nicely.
Great.
But they're not resting on their laurels.
No.
They've also been showcasing their new initiatives in their financials.
Okay.
These initiatives, while they're still pretty new,
Yeah.
are making a significant contribution to their overall revenue growth.
Cool.
Now, these new ventures are still operating at a loss,
Hmm.
but their adjusted EBITDA margins are improving.
So they're on track to become profitable.
It's like planting seeds for the future, right?
Exactly.
These new ventures require upfront investments, but they have the potential to really blossom down the line.
And bring in even more revenue.
Okay, let's circle back to their credit business for a minute. We talked about the challenges they're facing with unsecured lending.
Right.
But how's the overall picture looking for this segment?
Well, the slowdown in unsecured lending has definitely had an impact.
Mm-hmm.
But they're actively tackling this
Yeah.
by shifting their focus to those secured credit products we talked about earlier, like home loans,
Okay.
and by expanding their network of lending partners.
Smart moves.
Yeah, they're not just sitting back and letting the market dictate their actions. They're being proactive and adaptable.
I like that.
And one interesting thing to note is the growth of their trail revenue.
Trail revenue.
Yeah, it's mainly coming from their credit business.
Okay, what is that exactly?
It's basically the income they get from ongoing services related to loans.
Like what?
Things like processing loan payments.
Ah, I see.
It's a high margin type of revenue, and it's recurring, so it provides a steady stream of income.
Nice. A reliable source of revenue.
Exactly. It's
Except,
especially helpful when other areas are facing some headwinds.
okay, so it sounds like they've built a pretty solid and adaptable business model, wouldn't you say?
Definitely. They're not afraid to adjust their strategies to stay ahead of the game, which is crucial in a fast-paced market like India's financial sector.
Absolutely. Now let's dive into the heart of their operation, their technology platform.
All right.
They've invested a lot in building this robust and scalable platform that powers their entire business.
It's more than just a marketplace. It's a sophisticated engine driving their success.
And they're not just using technology for their customer-facing operations.
No.
They're also using it to empower their employees,
Okay.
providing them with real-time insights and tools to be more productive.
Smart move.
Their investor presentation has some fascinating examples of how they're leveraging technology to create a competitive advantage.
Like what?
Well, one example is their risk assessment framework.
Right.
They're using AI and machine learning to analyze huge amounts of data.
Wow.
And they're not just looking at basic stuff like demographics and financial history.
Oh, so what else are they looking at?
They're even factoring in things like social media activity
Real.
to get a more complete picture of an individual's financial behavior.
That's impressive.
It allows them to assess risk much more accurately
Mm-hmm.
and offer more personalized pricing for their insurance products.
So it's tailored to each individual's needs.
Exactly. It's like they're creating a custom insurance experience.
That's cool.
And they're not just focused on acquiring new customers.
No.
They're also investing in keeping their existing customers happy.
Makes sense.
They've developed a mobile app that makes it super easy for customers to file claims, track their progress, and even get real-time updates.
That's convenient.
And they're also using AI-powered chatbots to provide instant support and answer questions.
So customers can get help right away without having to wait on hold or send emails.
Exactly. It's all about making the experience as seamless and user-friendly as possible.
And it seems to be working.
Yeah.
Their investor presentation highlights their impressive customer satisfaction scores,
Which are?
consistently higher than the industry average.
That's a good sign.
It shows that they're doing something right when it comes to customer service.
Okay, let's talk about their growth strategy now.
Okay.
They've got some ambitious plans for the future, both in India and globally.
Yeah, they've been pretty clear about their goal of becoming a global leader in the insurtech space.
They're not just thinking about India, they're thinking about the world.
It's ambitious.
But they've got a solid track record and a clear vision, so it's definitely within the realm of possibility.
For sure.
So what are they doing to achieve this global domination?
Well, their investor presentation outlines a multi-pronged approach.
Right.
They're expanding their product portfolio,
Makes sense.
both in insurance and credit.
Mm-hmm.
They're developing new products all the time to cater to the ever-changing needs of their customers.
So they're not just following trends, they're trying to anticipate them and create new ones.
Exactly. They're being proactive, not reactive.
And they're also expanding their geographic reach. We talked about their success in the UAE, but they're also eyeing opportunities in other high-growth markets,
Yeah.
like Southeast Asia and the Middle East.
So it's a global game plan.
It is. They're not just content with being a big fish in a small pond. They want to be a global player.
I can respect that ambition.
But let's be real, every ambitious journey has its bumps in the road, right?
Of course, they're not immune to challenges.
So what are some of the hurdles they're facing?
Well, one of the key risks they highlight in their investor presentation is regulatory uncertainty.
Ah, right.
The regulations for insurtech companies are still evolving, and changes could have a significant impact on their business model.
That's tricky.
It's like navigating uncharted territory. You never know what you're going to encounter around the next bend.
And with their heavy reliance on technology, they're also facing another big challenge: cybersecurity threats.
Yeah, that's a constant concern for any company that deals with sensitive customer data.
A data breach could really damage their reputation and erode customer trust.
Absolutely. It's a risk they need to take very seriously.
So what are they doing to protect themselves?
They've invested a lot in cybersecurity,
Okay.
implementing multi-layered security measures and constantly monitoring their systems for any potential threats.
So it's an ongoing battle.
It is, but it's one they're actively fighting.
Good to hear. But even with top-notch security, they still have to contend with fierce competition.
Oh yeah, the insurtech space is getting crowded.
New players are popping up all the time, all vying for a piece of the pie.
Exactly. They need to constantly innovate and differentiate themselves from the competition to stay ahead.
It's a race to the top.
And they can't afford to slow down.
All right, so we've covered a lot of ground here.
Yeah, we have.
We've looked at their impressive growth, their innovative use of technology, their global ambitions, and the challenges they're facing.
It's a fascinating story.
It really is, and it's just the beginning.
Can't wait to see what they do next.
Me too. Stay tuned, because in the next part of this deep dive, we're going to dig even deeper into their financials
Okay.
and explore their strategies for navigating this ever-evolving landscape.
This is going to be good. And it's not just about the numbers. It's about understanding the strategy behind those numbers.
Right, and what they're doing to ensure that growth continues.
Exactly. They're not just sitting back and enjoying the ride. They're actively investing in their future.
Okay, so let's dive a bit deeper into those financials, shall we?
Let's do it.
Their investor presentation really highlights their core online business, the insurance marketplace.
That's their bread and butter.
It is, and it seems to be doing quite well.
Yeah.
They've got consistent revenue growth in this segment, and their contribution margins are looking strong.
Healthy profit margins. That's what we like to see.
They've also been talking a lot about their new initiatives.
Right. The ones that are still in the early stages.
Exactly.
But they're already making a noticeable contribution to their overall revenue growth.
They are. Now, these new ventures are still operating at a loss.
Which is normal for new businesses.
It is. It takes time to, get things up and running and start generating profits.
Right. There's always upfront investment involved.
But their adjusted EBITDA margins are showing improvement.
So they're heading in the right direction.
It's like planting seeds, You have to nurture them for a while before they start to bloom.
I like that analogy.
It takes time, but the potential is there.
Definitely.
Okay, let's circle back to their credit business for a second.
All right.
We talked about those challenges they're facing with unsecured lending.
That slowdown has definitely had an impact.
It has. But they're not just sitting around waiting for things to improve.
Yeah.
They're actively addressing the issue.
How so?
Well, they're shifting their focus to secured credit products.
Like those home loans we discussed earlier.
Exactly. Those are considered less risky, so they're less affected by economic jitters.
Smart move.
And they're also expanding their network of lending partners.
So spreading the risk and diversifying their portfolio.
It's all about being adaptable and responding to the market.
And they're doing a good job of that.
They're not letting the challenges define them. They're finding ways to overcome them.
That's the entrepreneurial spirit.
And one interesting thing to note is the growth of their trail revenue.
Trail revenue. Remind me what that is again.
It's basically the income they get from ongoing services related to loans.
Ah, Right, like processing loan payments.
Exactly. It's a high-margin, recurring revenue stream,
So it provides a nice, steady stream of income.
especially when other areas might be facing some headwinds.
Makes sense.
Okay, so it seems like they've built a pretty solid and adaptable business model, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely. They're not afraid to pivot and adjust their strategies as needed, which is crucial in today's dynamic market.
And they're not just relying on traditional methods, they're embracing technology and using it to their advantage.
Which brings us to another key aspect of their business, their technology platform.
Right, they've invested heavily in building this robust and scalable platform that powers their entire operation.
It's the backbone of their business.
It's more than just a marketplace. It's a sophisticated technology engine driving their success.
And they're using technology in some really innovative ways.
They are. Their investor presentation showcases some impressive examples of how they're leveraging technology to create a competitive edge.
Like what? Give me an example.
Well, take their risk assessment framework, for instance.
Okay.
They're using AI and machine learning to analyze vast amounts of data.
We're talking big data here.
And they're going beyond the usual stuff like, demographics and financial history.
Interesting. So what else are they looking at?
They're even factoring in things like social media activity
Social media.
to get a more complete picture of an individual's financial behavior.
That's pretty cutting edge.
It is. It allows them to assess risk with much greater accuracy and personalize the pricing of their insurance products.
So it's tailored to each person's unique profile.
Exactly. It's like custom-made insurance.
Pretty cool.
And they're not just focusing on acquiring new customers.
Nah.
They're also investing in keeping their existing customers happy.
Smart move. It's always cheaper to retain a customer than acquire a new one.
Exactly. They've developed a mobile app that makes it super easy for customers to file claims, track their progress, and even get real-time updates,
So they're streamlining the entire process.
making it as convenient and hassle-free as possible.
And they're also using those AI-powered chatbots we discussed earlier.
Right, to provide instant support and answer questions 24/7.
Customers can get help whenever they need it without having to wait on hold or send emails.
It's all about making the customer experience as seamless and user-friendly as possible.
And it seems to be working.
It does. Their investor presentation highlights their consistently high customer satisfaction scores,
Which are?
well above the industry average.
That's impressive. It shows they're really committed to providing a great customer experience.
They understand that happy customers are loyal customers, and loyal customers are the key to long-term success.
Couldn't agree more.
All right, let's shift gears and talk about their growth strategy.
Okay, they've got some ambitious plans, right?
They do. They're not just content with being a big player in India. They want to be a global leader in the insurtech space.
That's a bold vision.
It is. But they've got a solid track record and a clear strategy, so I wouldn't bet against them.
So how are they planning to achieve this global domination?
Well, their investor presentation lays out a pretty comprehensive roadmap.
Okay, tell me more.
They're expanding their product portfolio.
Makes sense. More products, more customers.
They're developing new products all the time, keeping up with the ever-changing needs of their customers.
They're not just following trends, they're setting them.
And they're also expanding their geographic reach.
We talked about their success in the UAE.
Right, but they're not stopping there.
They're eyeing other high-growth markets.
Exactly. Places like Southeast Asia, the Middle East, Latin America. They're looking at opportunities all over the globe.
It's a global game plan.
It is. They're not content with being a big fish in a small pond. They want to be a global player.
I admire that ambition.
But let's be real. Every ambitious journey has its bumps in the road.
Challenges are inevitable.
So what are some of the hurdles they're facing?
Well, one of the key risks they highlight in their investor presentation is regulatory uncertainty.
Yeah, that's a big one.
The regulations for insurtech companies are still evolving, and changes could have a significant impact on their business model.
It's a constantly shifting landscape.
It is. It's like navigating uncharted waters. You never know what you're going to encounter around the next bend.
And another big challenge, especially with their heavy reliance on technology, is cybersecurity threats.
Right. A data breach could really damage their reputation and erode customer trust.
It's a risk they need to take very seriously. So what are they doing to protect themselves?
They've invested heavily in cybersecurity, implementing those multi-layered security measures we talked about earlier.
Right, and they're constantly monitoring their systems for potential threats.
It's an ongoing battle.
It is, but it's one they seem to be taking very seriously.
Which is good to hear.
But even with the best security in the world, they still have to deal with intense competition.
Oh, yeah. The insurtech space is getting crowded fast.
New players are popping up all the time, all vying for a piece of the pie.
It's a dynamic and competitive market.
They need to constantly innovate and find ways to stand out from the crowd.
They can't afford to rest on their laurels.
Absolutely. They need to keep pushing the boundaries and setting new standards if they want to maintain their leadership position.
Yeah, it's a pretty competitive market out there.
It is, and they're not just focusing on India anymore.
Right. We talked about their global ambitions.
They're really making moves to expand into new territories.
It's impressive how quickly they've gained traction in the UAE.
It is. And they're not showing any signs of slowing down.
They've even hinted at plans to expand into other regions like Southeast Asia.
So they're thinking big global scale.
It's ambitious, but they've got the track record and the resources to pull it off.
They do. And it all comes back to their core strengths, their technology platform, their customer-centric approach, and their ability to adapt and innovate.
They're not afraid to shake things up and challenge the traditional way of doing things.
And that's what sets them apart in this rapidly evolving industry.
Definitely, they're a company to watch, that's for sure.
So as we wrap up this deep dive into the world of PB Fintech, what are your key takeaways?
Well, what really stands out to me is their commitment to using technology to make a real difference in people's lives.
Right. It's not just about profits. It's about social impact.
Exactly. They're leveraging technology to make financial products and services more accessible and affordable for everyone, especially those who have traditionally been excluded from the formal financial system.
They're bridging the gap, empowering individuals and communities.
And they're doing it with a clear vision, a passionate team, and a relentless focus on execution.
They're not just disrupting an industry, they're transforming lives.
And that's what makes their story so compelling.
Well said. It's been a fascinating journey exploring the world of PB Fintech, a company that's not just riding the wave of India's digital revolution, but actively shaping it.
The question is, what's next for them? What new innovations will they come up with? What new markets will they conquer?
Those are questions we'll be eager to answer in future deep dives.
Definitely. This is a company that's always pushing the boundaries, so I'm sure they'll have plenty more surprises in store for us.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into PB Fintech. We'll be back soon with another fascinating look at the world of business and finance.
Until next time.